I've seen a lot of developers consider music composition to be almost impossible. Obviously, this is not the case. With the sheer quantity of online resources at your disposal, it's very difficult to justify not being able to at least attempt to make your own music. I'll preface this by saying that I'm not actually trying to ruin the lives of any professional musicians. What I'm describing below is how to achieve the bare minimum in order for your game's soundtrack to not actively bottleneck the rest of the experience. I'm not explaining how to recreate the same amount of emotion in FTL, or the same amount of energy in Super Hexagon. I'm only describing how to just about get to this level. And very likely with better mixing. The first preconception you might have is that you need to either invest or pirate some expensive software like FL Studio. This is certainly untrue. In fact, LMMS is a relatively simple piece of software which allows you to synthesize sounds, sample, add a myriad of effects, and install plugins to fill in the gaps. It's got a bit of a learning curve, but it's reportedly less steep than FL Studio. At this point, it's quite likely that you will install LMMS, turn 360 degrees, and walk away. If you don't, great, I'm glad. It can be very powerful if you're willing to put in the time and effort to learn it. However, if you're part of the former crowd, there are easier options. At this point, I'm going to focus on chiptunes in particular. LMMS can make chiptunes, but it's also used for making many other kinds of music. Family Tracker is a wonderful piece of software. It's very powerful for making chiptunes, and a lot of people who make chiptunes professionally use this software. Depending on how closely you follow what I do, you may be asking at this point, well, how do you run this program if it's Windows only and you're running Linux? The simple answer is that it runs pretty outstandingly well under Wine. It's almost as if it's native. I've encountered no bugs, anomalies, or any crashes at all when I'm using it. Even if you do run Linux, I would recommend giving this a try. If you install Family Tracker and then proceed to freak out even more than you did with LMMS, don't worry. It is a very intimidating program, but when you get to know it, it is very easy to use. There are a few core principles which are outside the scope of this video that make it a million times easier. I would personally recommend watching some of Ben Burns' How to Use Family Tracker series in order to get you started. Failing that, not all is lost. There is one final level of simplicity to drop down to, and it's what I use for super displacement, and I'm fairly proud of what I did with it. Rather than being an application, this is a website named Beatbox. Beatbox is probably the easiest thing to use in the world. It's not very flexible, but compared to its simplicity, it's more than permissible. If you're at your wit's end and you don't want to spend more than 2 minutes to learn how to use a program, then Beatbox is definitely where you should go. Even if you are a die-hard Family Tracker fan, Beatbox is really good for sketching out some simple songs which can be more powerfully adjusted in Family Tracker or even in LMMS. Regardless of your preference of software, I hope you found this enjoyable. Either way, thanks for watching.